Okay, welcome to 15.6. Find distances in the coordinate plane. So here on the right, that's the coordinate plane. What we're doing today is virtually the same thing as yesterday, but we're going to do it with coordinates, with x and y coordinates. So see if you remember yesterday, right? To find the diagonal distance there, you need to draw a right triangle. So for those of you who don't have the printout, you're just going to draw a little sketch of this, right? We're trying to find this hypotenuse, this distance here, we'll call it d. And we have to find the length of the two legs. This one is 5. This one is 12. And we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem. We square the two legs, we sum them or add them, and that will find us. I'm going to call the hypotenuse d today, d for distance. So 5 squared is 25, 12 squared is 144, equals d squared, 169 equals d squared. And so the square root of positive and negative square roots of 169, right? We don't need the negative square root, and that equals d. Well, d then square root of 169 is positive 13. So today, big difference, we're going to be finding it in the coordinate plane. And this is the exact same triangle. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and right from negative 5 there to positive 7. That distance is 12. See, 7 minus negative 5, that distance, right, to find a distance between two things, you subtract them, is 12. This, right, this is, right, from positive 6, the y coordinate is positive 6, the y coordinate is 1. Here it's 6 minus 1, which is 5. But either way, it's the exact same distance, diagonal distance, 13. Now, I went probably too fast for some of you there. I'm going to go over all that again. All right, so we're going to find this distance using the coordinates there. All right, so we're going to start with the vertical distance here. So we have 2 points. You don't need, right, if you don't have the printout, you can just draw a little sketch, right? There's 8, 9 up there, and there's 2, 1, right? You can draw a little sketch, hopefully a little neater than that. And so the vertical distance is this distance, right? Right, so before we were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, counting the boxes. But notice the y coordinate of that point is 9. It's at 9, 8, 9. The y coordinate of this one is 1. And so the vertical distance is just 9 minus 1, 8, or 8 units, I should say. So now find the horizontal distance. So, right, for the vertical, the up and down, we subtracted the y. So what are we going to subtract now? The x's. And we want to make sure we get a positive answer for a distance. So we're not going to do 2 minus 8. We're going to do 8 minus 2. So we get a positive answer. 8 minus 2 is 6 units. That's the horizontal distance. We used to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? And this is a 6. The legs of this triangle are therefore 6 and 8. We subtracted the coordinates to get those distances. So what you're going to do in your homework is you're going to subtract those coordinates, and then once you do that, it's exactly the same as always. We're going to call this d for distance. 6 squared is 36, 8 squared is 64, 100 equals d squared. And today, guess what? You don't have to cross out the negative, and I'll tell you why. The distance is 10. I should say units. All right, so we're going to use the Pythagorean to find the diagonal distance. We're trying to find how far from there to there. So let's start with subtracting our y coordinates, right? The y coordinate is 9 there, it's 0 there. So we're going to do 9 minus 0, which is 9. Now subtract the x coordinates. The x coordinates are 7 and negative 5. And we want to do it so we get a positive number. So which way would it go for a positive number? Well, we want 7 minus negative 5, which is found when we subtracted the x coordinates, call that 2 and 1, we got this 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. When we subtract the y coordinates, oops, we got this 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now we have the legs are 9 and 12. Now it's like all the other rest of the unit. We're going to call that d for distance. 9 squared is 81. 12 squared is 144. 81, 144 plus 81 is 225. We've memorized the square root of 225. We're just going to say it's positive 15 units. All right, so try one on your own. Pause the video, don't just watch me. So the y coordinates, I'm going to call them y2 and y1, were 9 and negative 6. So 9 minus negative 6. If you do it the other way, you're going to get negative 15. We want to get positive 15. So this vertical distance here is 15. And to get the horizontal distance, that's this one, you're going to subtract the x coordinates. 7 minus negative 1 is 8. So we're going to have 8 squared plus 15 squared equals 15 squared. 8 squared is 64 plus 15 times 15, 225 equals d squared. 225 plus 64 is 289. So it's the positive and negative square roots of 289. Square root of 289 is 17, right? If you've memorized that, great. If you haven't, right, you know 225, square root of 225 is 15. And I didn't say it was irrational, so you could guess that it was 17 times 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times 1 is 7 plus 4 is 11. Step over. Yeah, 17 times 17 is 289. The distance there is 17 units. Right? So this is what, right? When we subtracted the x coordinates, we got one of the legs. When we subtract the y coordinates, we get the other leg, the vertical leg. Right? And so we're really writing the same thing a new way. Right? That's us subtracting the x coordinates. That's us subtracting the y coordinates. Right? So now you don't have a picture. See, all right. So let's start with. I've been starting with subtracting the y coordinates, so I'll stay with that. So we subtract the y coordinates. Right? That's 5. Then I'm going to subtract the x coordinates. Now, so we want to get a positive. So 6 minus negative 6. So notice I switched the orders there, which you're never allowed to do when you're doing slope. 6 minus negative 6 is 12, right? So that was subtracting the x coordinates. That's the x2 minus x1. Yeah, these little numbers here are just numbers. That's x coordinate number 2, x coordinate number 1. This is y coordinate number 2 and y coordinate number 1. And so d squared, we got 144 plus 25. I feel like we did this one already today. There's 169 equals d squared, and d equals 13 units long, right? When you're in high school, you're going to be learning this. This is called the distance formula. And this is a way of writing Pythagorean theorems so you don't have to deal with that whole positive and negative thing. When we're doing distances, we know the answer can't be negative anywhere. No distance is ever a negative number. So if you write it this way, and what they did there was basically take what we normally do, let's write Pythagorean theorem. So Pythagorean leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. They took the square root of both sides, but only the positive square root, right? Since they only want the positive square root, you can write like that because that's the positive square root symbol. And then you don't have to deal with any of that crossing out of the negative stuff. Now, if you want to do it the same old way, that's fine. But this is the way your high school teacher will write it. It's called the distance formula. All right, but it's the same thing. We're going to subtract our y coordinates. We want to get a positive number, so 2 minus negative 2. 2 plus 2 is 4, right? All right. And then we're going to square that, right? That's subtracting our y coordinates. Now we're going to subtract our x coordinates. We want to get a positive, so 6 minus 3 is 3. Now notice, when you square it, if it was a negative, it would go away anyway. So it's really not a big deal. But why do you want to deal with negative numbers when you don't have to? Right? So we're taking the x coordinates, subtracting them, and squaring. Take the y coordinates and square them. And so they typically put d over there, big difference. And d equals 9 plus 16. D equals, square root of that, and square root of 25. D equals 5. Okay. Right, we know if the legs, this is the point 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, and the point 3, negative 2, right? And the distance, the vertical distance was 4, the horizontal distance was 3, and that's the 3, 4, 5 triangle we've seen many times before. If you don't want to use this method, that's fine, but that's what's going on. All right, so any way you want, now you're going to have to round your answer to the nearest tenth. That's 7 squared. 3 minus negative 4 is 7. The x coordinate subtract the 7 as well, right? And you can write it this way if you want, or you can write it with the square root symbol. Either way works. So this is 49 plus 49. This is the square root of 98, 41. Well, we know the square root of 100 is 10. So I think the only reasonable answers are 9.8 and 9.9 units. If I was doing a test, I would check which one it actually is there. Yeah, why am I starting with subtracting my y's? Out of habit, because when we do slope, we subtract our y's. I've been subtracting my y's first, but you don't have to. So this is 2 minus negative 5, right? Because I want to get a positive. If you do it the other way, you get a negative 7. Either way, you're going to get negative 7 squared. You're going to get 49, right? Because negative 7 squared, positive 7 squared, 49. So why don't we just get a positive? Make our life easy. 2 minus negative 5 is 2 plus 5, 7. So 7 squared is 49. And then, here you can't get a positive, so we're stuck. Oh, no, we can. Negative 1 minus negative 4. There you go. Negative 1 minus negative 4. Negative 1 plus 4, which is 3. So that's 3 squared. So this is 3 squared. Let's neaten up here a little bit. Plus 7 squared. And that equals d squared. Or you can write it the other way. 3 squared is 9. 7 squared is 49. 49 plus 9 is 58. Uh-oh. So it says round to the nearest tenth. All right, so the square root of 58 is between the square root of 49 and the square root of 54. Well, that one's 7, that one's 8. That's 9 away. That is 6 away. So it's higher than 7.5. So we're talking around, all right, D will be approximately 7.6 or 7.7. All right, let's see what 7.6 is just to check it. Right, 6 times 6 is 36. 42 is 45. 7 times 6 is 42. 7 times 7 is 49 plus 4 is 53. That's 57.76. That's awfully good. All right, so 7.6 units, approximately. So here, negative 8. Let's do negative 1 minus negative 8. Same as negative 1 plus 8, or 7. So it's going to be 7 squared. And then over there, it's going to be 10 minus negative 14, which is 10 plus 14, which is 24 squared. Oh my goodness. 7 squared is 49. 24 squared we've done before, but let's just double check. 16, 9. Yep, 576. 576 plus 49. Seems like it's 625. Well, we know the square root of 625, all right? So D equals the square root of 625, which is 25 units. Okay. All right, so there's no Easter egg today. Hopefully there'll be a very good one tomorrow. Good luck.